Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
Where the line between neighbor and nightmare is razor thin. Welcome to Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi, featuring former prosecutor and defense attorney Eric Faddis.
The case of Judge Kevin Mullins' murder has been extremely fascinating, heartbreaking to watch, as well as a judge's life was taken in his very own chambers by his friend, long life friend, and sheriff. But the question is, why? What happened here? What happened between the two of these people, the sheriff and the judge, going out for lunch, and then eventually getting into an altercation in his office on camera that ultimately ended his life? There is a lot of question about what was going on in the days leading up to this event, the potential motive in the case involving Letcher County Sheriff Shawn Mickey Stines and the late District Judge Kevin Mullins, linked to that prior lawsuit alleging misconduct within the sheriff's office back in 2022, a federal lawsuit filed against Sheriff Stines and Deputy Ben Fields, accusing Fields of coercing a woman into unwanted sexual acts within Judge Mullins' chambers. Lawsuit also claimed that Sheriff Stines failed to properly train and supervise Deputy Fields. 3 days before the fatal shooting on September 19th of this very year, Sheriff Stines was deposed in a connection with the lawsuit. During that deposition, he reportedly exhibited subdued, tense, and evasive behavior, which seemed a little bit out of character for him. Joining me to discuss, Eric Faddis, defense attorney, former prosecutor. Again, we're all just trying to put the pieces together here. What do you think? Do you think any of these past issues like this have something to do with this case?
You know, a sheriff doesn't go into his buddy, a judge's chambers, and just, open fire for no reason at all. There's surely something going on behind the scenes. And I think those events you alluded to, a lot of people are thinking, hey, that must have factored in to some degree. You have really this horrendous shooting, and it's captured on video. And so it's not even like the sheriff, was trying to be surreptitious or anything. And so what motivated this sheriff to just open fire on his buddy, a judge in the judge's chamber?
There's so many questions here. Of course, in the video, we saw Judge Stines on bringing out his phone. There was some talk of it being a picture of his daughter on there, calling the daughter of the sheriff, and then shortly thereafter, the shots being fired. Again, that seems to be somewhat of a key piece in this. And of course, everyone's mind goes to, is there some sort of inappropriate relationship going on here? We don't know. We have no evidence of any of that right now. But there clearly was some sort of very harsh, motivating event that would have caused someone to go down this road.
Yeah, certainly. And we many people have views of people in law enforcement, people in the law as being, really above board for the most part, that they're not engaged in some, super underhanded, shady stuff in a back alley, or at least we don't see them as being engaged in that. But even in Colorado, there have been dissension within police departments based on some pretty salacious interactions between those folks that no one really expected law enforcement to engage in. And so, really anything's possible.
How difficult is that to argue something like that lawsuit causing enough stress or whatever it may be, whether it's the lawsuit, whether it be something he found on the phone, to cause someone to commit this crime, to commit murder in court, and to get the jury to go along with you, saying, look, in his normal mind, he would have never have done this, but because of this caused him to do that. That's got to be a hard one to argue.
Certainly a hard sell. There are kind of multiple levels that a defense attorney could argue. One is not guilty by reason of insanity, that the sheriff was so beside himself he didn't know right from wrong. A lesser argument, but would still be beneficial, is like this was a heat of passion thing, or he had some impaired mental condition, those sorts of things. And I think you really have to buttress it with talking about how traumatic law enforcement life can be. We don't always talk about how those folks don't always get the best support. They don't always have the best resources to speak out about what's troubling them. And sometimes they act out in crazy and egregious and dangerous ways. And that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Were you surprised that the death penalty is kind of being thrown out there on the table already on this, considering the other thing that the prosecution is saying is that this was basically a crime of passion in some way, shape, or form? And then to have the death penalty thrown in there so quickly?
I think it was way too premature to even consider that. When we're talking death penalty, usually we're thinking serial killers. We're thinking people who are killing children, people who are torturing people. This appears just to be kind of a run of the mill is the wrong term, but a rather average interpersonal relationship that just truly unraveled into this horrible killing. But that doesn't really strike me as like, oh, this is qualified for the death penalty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there just seems to be not enough information yet to even go down that road. I'm wondering how surprised the community and those families are going to be by what eventually is unearthed, because I'm thinking a lot of people are going to find out a lot of things about loved ones that either can't answer about them because they're no longer here, or they're locked away, or I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot to this that was probably going on underneath the surface that somebody didn't want to get out. I mean, that's what I'm wondering about of maybe the motivation factor here in this is one could be exposed for something. I don't know. There's a lot of questions there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, certainly some revelations could come to light. Again, it reminds me of a situation with the police department in Colorado where I practice, where there was dissension in the police department, and then it really began to unravel, and there were accusations here and there. There was allegedly infidelity, swinging, drug use, all sorts of things that no one would ever envision would come from, folks who are in law enforcement, but yet here we were. And so we'll just kind of have to see what information begins to trickle out as this case progresses.
Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
You're neck deep in a dark, twisted tale, and just as the tension peaks, bam, a commercial about some miracle diet pill breaks the spell. It's like finding a fly in your soup after the first bite, but here's the fix. True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. You get to enjoy your crime stories without the junk, ad-free episodes, extended interviews that go beyond the surface, and early access to all the gruesome details. It's like swapping out a can of cheap beer for a glass of fine whiskey. So search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and keep the darkness flowing uninterrupted.